for me to like cook and just create something and give people experience and just like really able to represent my culture and just like for them to like blow their minds of like, what is this bite I'm having, and like something familiar but not and different, and like really change the perception of Mexican food. I think it's cool, and I think it just talks about like where Mexican American culture sits today.
Welcome back to Industry Only at the Cheese Store. I'm Andy, of course. We've got Dom. We've got a very special guest we'll intro in a minute. But right now, we've also been in the middle of doing this Reddit AMA, and it's been really, really fun to watch Dom type answers like a Neanderthal, like, you know, one finger at a time, trying to figure out like where Atwater Village is.
I knew where it was. I knew where Atwater Village was.
Where's
It's still there.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Where's Atwater Village?
It's just past Eagle Rock.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad way of describing it. It's around.
Around. There you go. Thank you.
Because it's like past depending on where you're coming from.
Yeah, I'm gonna drive to. All right, he's gonna drive to Eagle Rock
and
first to orient
it.
himself. So we're here with Bricia Lopez, who we're gonna introduce only because Dom needs to know who she is. Everybody else knows who she is.
That's not true, but okay.
Her family are the founders of Guelaguetza, which is the pioneering Oaxacan restaurant in Los Angeles. It got an America's Classic Award from the James Beards. What year was that? It's been a while now.
It's been a while. It's 2015.
Wow. So almost a decade ago, it was recognized as a classic, and it's endured since then. There's a lot of stuff that I want to talk to her about, including...
We're 30 years this year.
Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
Wild.
Right. And I think that when you were 10, and I mean, we're going to get back to this, I think you showed up because your dad had opened the restaurant. He finally had enough money to bring everybody over. You had a backpack full of ingredients. You went straight to the restaurant, and you kind of never left, right?
Never looked back.
So this is a wild LA story. But we're going to start by just asking Dom a very simple question.
Oh, no.
Do you know what a tayuda is?
So I don't.
All right, can you explain this to him? I can't believe...
I do know mole, though.
He knows what mole is.
Of course. I mean, tlayuda.
And I love it.
It's like a Mexican pizza, but there's no mozzarella and...
But there's Oaxaca cheese.
Yeah, all right.
There you go. So let her explain it.
Explain it.
Oaxacan food and Italian food are very, very... I mean, there's so much similarities. I mean, tlayuda is the base, right? So your pizza has flour as the base, right? Dough. Yeah. Flour. It's not a base of flour, dough. So our base is corn, which is a tortilla, but it's made in a very specific way. Not like the tortilla you would find at your grocery store in the freezer aisle at all. It's large in size, so it's about 14 inches in diameter. So that's why people like connect it to a pizza, because in people's minds here in America, when they think about tortilla, they think of two things, like a massive burrito flour tortilla, right? And then a corn tortilla is just like a little taco tortilla, right? Like
that's exactly what I think.
Correct, right? So like, have you ever seen like a 14-incher? I mean,
I'm not sure how to answer that. Okay, cool.
Corn tortilla. So it's handmade. So it's hand pressed. So this like huge, like, 12, 14-inch tortilla gets cooked on a comal. So it has like a very specific texture. Really hard to recreate, keeping labor and cost in Los Angeles. So what we do, we actually have like a group of women in Oaxaca make them for us, and we get them shipped to LA once a week.
Do you put like flour in them too, or is it just straight
it's straight
corn?
up Oaxaca, just corn. That's the one ingredient. And it's beautiful. The texture's great. When you eat it right off the comal, you have this like, it has this like beautiful like pliability to it where you can like twist and turn it. But when it gets to LA, it hardens because...
So it's like nice and crispy.
Very nice and crispy. Okay. So then that's our base, kind of like you have your base of dough. Then we have different layers, right? You have many layers, like in pizza, all sorts of different pizzas, right? So our layer consists of primarily two things. One is fat and the other one is beans. So our fat comes from pork, obviously, because it's the best. But we make something called asiento, and it's not lard. Very different than making lard. Okay. Almost like breaking down, you know what chicharrón is?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So basically making imagine if you made a paste almost like a pate out of chicharron. Wow. So like we make that and it's crispy. It's got like garlic and a lot of salt. So then that's the base that kind of.
So you're taking this tortilla and this is your sauce. You're rubbing this all over the top.
More like a paste.
First.
It's a paste.
That's your base.
That's the base. That's the first one.
Got it. Okay.
Then
paste.
you put the second layer, which is a bean paste. So these are beans that have been cooked in avocado leaf. It has obviously salt.
Why are you cooking in avocado leaf?
It's just a flavor. It's like avocado leaf and hoja santa, poleo. There's certain herbs that are found in Oaxaca. They're just like, when you go to Oaxaca and eat there, you're like, what is this flavor? I've never had it. It's like so earthy and herbaceous and wonderful and beautiful. It's probably avocado leaf. So that's why the beans taste so good. So we cook them, water, broth, salt, garlic, onion. We blend it with toasted avocado leaves, toasted chiles de árbol, and then we refry those, right? So then it turns into a paste.
Oh, that's so good. That sounds so
then
good.
you put the second layer is this bean paste layer. And then obviously you put queso fresco, which is just basic cheese. I mean, not so basic, but just it's
so
basic.
flavorful.
No, queso fresco, it's like almost like a ricotta salata almost.
Yeah.
Like,
whoa, showing off. That was a flex.
I told you my boyfriend was Italian.
Flex. I love this.
And then we shave some cabbage, like super thin, beautiful, just like cabbage for brightness. And then we top up with our second cheese, which is our Oaxaca cheese. That it's, I guess, closer to a mozzarella, but it's very stringy.
So that's like the more texture.
Yeah, I brought her here to teach you about
and the
cheese.
fresco is more flavor.
Exercise.
Yeah, the fresco, I mean, it's kind of like like even the texture, it's very similar.
Yeah.
It's a Oaxaca string cheese per se, but it's super it's salty and it's like super stringy. It has like high protein, so like it's like almost like hair when you like string it.
Yeah.
Very different than like Italian cheese where it's like thicker strings.
Sure.
And then you put that over wood fire and everything just sort of melts together.
Oh, no way.
And you can either fold it in half traditionally in Mexico. And then you can just put anything you want on top of it and treat that as like the base. That's the, and then you put
Do you
like
ever put, like,
tasajo.
meats?
Yeah. So then
Chorizo
from there we go
all over,
chorizo, beef, which is tasajo.
Yeah.
You can put like arrachera on top. You can just put, if you want, just like avocado and more herbs. Like,
So you're eating this like it's not like a slice.
So
You're
in
eating this
Oaxaca,
like
you eat it. In Oaxaca, they fold it in half, almost like a giant quesadilla. In LA, though, my dad, when he started selling the clayudas, like people couldn't understand it. So like the idea of like, oh, this looks like a pizza. It's like, well, then let's just like lean in. So we started putting in pizza
boxes.
Well, we do serve it in pizza boxes, but when we serve it, we serve it over like this pizza like disc, like a tin. I don't know.
Sure.
Plate, large like round
Right.
plate.
And then people eat it like a slice.
And
they
then
eat it like
we
it's
actually
dainty.
cut it. We actually cut it with a pizza cutter, so then you actually have a slice, which is very different than how you eat it in Oaxaca. And now when you go, but now when you go to Oaxaca, that's how they're served.
They're copying your dad.
We're literally just educating Dom about stuff that's like 15, 20 minutes away. This is literally like what every podcast is.
Okay, so yes, maybe I don't know about this. There's no doubt about it.
This is
But I would
what-
also say, like, some people that are listening right now, like that to me sounds incredible. Like this is going to be on my next list of restaurants to go to in the next 2 weeks. Guaranteed.
But you're gonna have to drive
Yeah.
to Koreatown.
Never mind.
And it's only Koreatown, which is
It's
hard.
but that's
Koreatown
easy.
is not that hard.
No, it's not.
Koreatown you can get to.
Yes, no doubt about
This is
it.
one of the defining restaurants of LA. And I mean, and we could talk more about like all the different influences. But the thing about the whole Lopez family, and it's wild because this is a story about a father and a mother, and now a brother and sisters, because this is very much, like a multi-generational family business. They pioneered a few things, meaning that like they brought this type of restaurant to Los Angeles, right? Because this is obviously like what your dad knew how to do. So this is what he did, right? Then they became pioneers where they turned not just Los Angeles, but America. I mean, they have a bar in Vegas, like onto the fact that like mezcal should be a primary spirit at an actual bar. So they did that. Now they're doing this third thing, which is the main reason I want to talk to you today, because it's just crazy. They started a Michelada business, and it has turned into this monthly party now, right? Where it just...
Festival, I like to call
Festival.
Love.
It's straight up like a music festival. It's like when you go to Italy and what do you call it? It's a festa, not a fiesta, right? That's what they're doing every week. But it's
Month.
Yeah.
Every
Oh, yeah,
first,
no,
every
every
first,
month.
yeah.
Come on, Andy,
Every
get it
first Friday
right.
of the month.
First Friday, yeah.
First
So it's
Friday
every
of the
first
month.
Friday.
Same location? Where did these happen?
Well, tell me about how this has grown and the fact that, like, you go look at this and you're straight up, like, I mean, we joke about how we both are now. I mean, you're straight up like a nightlife promoter now, right?
I'm a straight up night promoter. And I joke about that with my friends all the time. It's like, I guess like I'm a club promoter now. It's so weird.
But the crowds look great. Everybody's having a good time.
It's the best time.
It's obviously like a Michelada party, so people are getting like happily plastered, but there's music. I saw like mechanical bowls or something, right?
Yeah, it's
all right,
definitely.
So tell me how you got to this point, because this is crazy.
Now we're up to almost 4,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's
Wow,
big.
that's a festival.
It is.
That's a massive festival.
It's so hard to describe it because when you think of a festival, it's like once a year, right?
Sure.
You gather 4,000 people. Like it takes a year to do that.
Sure.
But I do this every month.
Where are you doing
might actually be busier than I am.
Where's 4,000 people taking place in LA?
Okay, so let's take it from the beginning. There's so many questions. Let's go from so the brand that we started, my brother and I, my sister, is called I Love Micheladas. And we know when you say like pioneer, I feel like the word pioneer like sounds awesome, but it fucking sucks, dude. Because like you're always swimming upstream trying to educate people. And like, I just want to like, I'm like, can I just like flow with the stream at some point? Can I just like, can things just flow? Why am I so...
Right. Why do you have to explain to people?
Yes, every time.
But the thing is, the stuff that you're pioneering too, the thing that's funny is that like, this is just part of your culture.
It is.
Right? And you're just giving people elements, something they haven't experienced before because they're not your culture, right?
Yeah.
So you started this, right? I remember it being a big deal at Smorgasburg. Tell me how that grew.
Yeah, so it's just a Michelada mix. It's a Michelada mix in a bottle. And we also have it ready to drink in a cup.
Do you know what beverage this is?
Yeah.
Okay. Dom
Tell
knows.
me, Dom.
Isn't it like the beer with the like the rim?
Yes, but
Yeah, right?
there's other things. But yeah, sure. The beer with the rim. Let's call it that for now. But I Love Micheladas, right? That's the name of the brand. That's the name of our product. And then about a year and a half ago, it was the first Friday of March, which is International Women's Day, March of last year. We were thinking of how to, promote the brand, like how to grow the brand, always, right? Like you're in business, so you're like, what are we doing? What are we doing? We were doing that regarding her festival. It was going to be the first Friday of the month. So we partnered with a woman-owned brewery. It was Benny Boy. We're like, let's do this like ladies' night. And let's bring in like our people and like, let's have a big Michelada party. And it was like their biggest night they've ever had. It was super successful.
How many people that night? Do you remember?
I think it was like 400 people or something like that. 300, 400 people.
Brewery, yeah.
And it was like, I mean, it was crazy. Like nobody was prepared to like having these people coming in.
Sure.
It was so much fun.
Because the thing is when she throws parties, and this is just who her family is, I mean, it's like people are partying. This isn't like standing around.
Oh, no, we party.
Right, yeah. No,
it's in our blood.
Yeah, no. It's like people are drinking, people are dancing, people are festive. And like even if you're in hospitality all the time, you're not really used to seeing this. I mean, the stuff that you've posted, I mean, it just straight up like, I joke about the nightclub thing, but you're throwing that type of party, though.
Oh, well, it's different. I mean, so it's different from it wasn't before. But so then we started doing like, oh, let's do it again. We're like, let's do a different brewery that carries her mix. And like, let's go help, like, promote it there. Let's partner with them. So we went to a second brewery, same thing. They were like, what the hell? Biggest night they ever had. Third brewery. Same thing. I think the fourth brewery we did, the brewery was closed. So they had like no built-in audience. So like, I think that was a turning point where we're like, holy crap. Like, no, these are like our people.
Yeah.
These aren't people that are the brewery with like other friends. So then we moved to just bigger places. And then it got like kind of its own identity. We partnered with a brewery, completely just like horrible business partner, completely screwed us over. It was like, it just left such a sour, like, taste in my mouth of, like, just, like, bad people still exist here. So we then were like, you know what? We can figure this shit out. Like, let's just take the production ourselves. Like, we can figure it out.
Love that.
Because that's what we do in restaurant business. We're crazy.
Because that's just in your nature. It's like,
that's
we'll just figure it out.
Yeah, we'll just figure it out. So then we went all in and, like, got our first venue, which is in downtown LA. It was called La Plaza de Culturas y Artes.
You just say it so much nicer than I would. Just
no,
throw that out there. It's great.
La Plaza.
Your turn.
Your turn. La Plaza.
The plaza.
Yeah, no, not the plaza. But so we had our first like self-produced event there, and it was very successful. I mean, it was always nervous, right? Like how many people are showing up, and like then we started selling tickets, and people are gonna come. Like every month, it's like, are people gonna come this month again?
Like, how do you advertise that it's happening?
It's all social media.
Yeah.
So that self-produced one, I think we got 1,500 people show up to that
So
one.
that's like probably the biggest one you've done.
The biggest one we've
Just
done
at that point.
At that point.
Wow.
And then it just kept growing and growing and growing. And then it got to the point where we got shut down by the fire department. And then we're like, we can't have it here anymore. It just doesn't make sense to have it here anymore. So we found this incredible place in South LA, which you probably will never go to.
Okay.
But it's called the Beehive. And you can have an entire other conversation about this wonderful location and everything they do for their community and this venue we found. But it was double the space. So now we went from like having one stage to now having 2 stages. Then we went from having 3 DJs and 1 band to now we have 3 live bands and 5 DJs. So now we have 1 DJ stage in a warehouse. That legit, when I'm there, that's when I live my best like night promoter life. Because I'm walking around and it does feel like you're in Vegas in a nightclub and everyone's just having getting
so
turned.
cool.
Right. I want to break it down in terms of like how you get in the weeds, because this is what we do all the time. At what point did you realize, oh, we need an AV tech, we need insurance or whatever? Like, who was doing this?
My brother.
Or just figuring out in real. So
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, like, my brother and I are all business partners.
Right.
So, my brother and I come from, like, event production business. Like,
Right.
we've done events all, like, forever. Like, do you remember The Taste of Mexico?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I produce that with some friends. Like, I just know how to produce stuff. And for us, and we have, you should see my warehouse. Oh, my goodness. We own a lot of stuff.
I'm sure.
Just a lot of things. So, like,
Okay, so this is your brother Fernando. Of
my
course,
brother
right?
Fernando, yes.
Right. So
But I will now officially become like Fernando's sister, which is like so fucking
Right,
weird to
right.
me. Because like now when I go, someone's like, "Oh, Fernando's sister is here." And it's like, when did I become Fernando's sister? I used to just be
Right,
me,
right.
and he was my brother.
But this is
But
you,
that's
Fernando,
Bricia's brother.
and then Paulina works on it too?
Paulina does less like back of house stuff for
Got it.
Micheladas. She's full on restaurant.
Right.
So Paulina, we don't really bring her into the production and the weeds of it.
Got it.
She's just handling the restaurant, like making sure that doesn't fall apart while we try to
got
build
it.
this new
so
thing.
you and Fernando are straight up like running this events business
Yes.
together then.
Yes, the 2 of us. So we have like 2 stages soon, probably like release a 3rd stage next year somehow. That's sort of like in the plan. We have now a full food court area. We have 6 food vendors, usually like 4 to 5 food trucks and like 2 pop-ups in the food court area. The DJ stage with like just all the noise and like the bass, like you are at a nightclub and everyone's getting turned, and we play everything from like reggaeton to like 90s, 2000s, like different DJs come, and like getting to know LA DJs has been so cool because it's like just like knowing these artists is amazing. Then we have a mechanical bull where people like ride the bull
Yeah, so
and
this
like
is a different party than a Vegas nightclub because you're curating like more eclectic, more diverse music, obviously.
I mean, it's just
And
like
then more-
a full-on celebration
Yeah.
of Mexican American culture.
Yeah.
I love it.
And like not just Oaxaca culture, but like who we are in this country and like what we like to listen to. It's all like banda music. So then our outdoor stage, now we have 3 bands, and they're all Mexican bands, from Sinaloense band, and 2 Zacatecas band, and another band from Guerrero. And now we're going to move on to a 4th band. We have also tattoos there, like flash tattoos. People get like Michelada tattoos on them. And then we have like a massive bar that we run, and we just like promote our Michelada brand. I always tell people it is the one party when you can go to LA, and like generally it's like multi-generational too, because some people take their parents. And you see like parents partying, and you see this like, gorgeous 22-year-old girls just like turning up, and like people like meeting each other, and
Right.
it's just
And-
become like
and
a,
Well, it's a culture now. You're
Right.
It's a
creating
culture.
a culture.
And
Yes.
it's the whole range. And I think I know the answer to this because it's like, look, you also like know how to get dressed up. Your brother has a good sense of style and all this, but do you?
does my brother have a good sense of style? I don't know.
No, I mean in terms
TBD.
All right. Well, Fernando, if you're listening, she wants to give you a makeover. No, but I mean overall in terms
I've tried
of,
all my life.
But I mean overall, like in terms of like the bar at Smorgasburg didn't really have to be anything, but it feels like it is something, right? It feels like it has a point of view, right?
Yeah.
And just even the brand. So I guess the thing that I'm asking is that like, do you have a stylist? Do you have an art director, or is it really just you? I mean, just
So
for the brand,
for-
personally, and for the brand. I'm curious.
Okay, so we have a full-time graphic designer who also serves as our art director. She designs alongside my brother and I like the flyers. Like we have the final say on like where we want the look to go and like what we want it to look like.
But for the events themselves and what they look like, is that just you producing it? Do you have a team
I think it's
now, or-
we have for the production, let's see. We hire the whole team. Were 65 people.
Wow.
For the event.
It's a huge business now.
Crazy.
Most are just like one day people who work there, but our core team, that full time. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 full time employees who solely work on the event, aside from my brother and I.
Right.
Who just do all the production, the vendors, the art direction, the marketing, the social media pushes, all that stuff, all like with the leadership of like, I would be like, I guess, the marketing director. My brother, it's like the operations director. So he has his team of production, that logistics, like how are we going to set up the bars? Because we like put up these bars. We like execute and activate 20 bars that night.
Oh my God.
Like that day. And then we have to put it all up one day and then take it all down.
How much are you personally doing this? Because it's like, look, we have a lot of friends who run restaurants and do catering, right? And they can be doing the biggest events with the biggest celebrities, and something happens, and then suddenly, one of our friends, she's just like, I'm the one carrying ice buckets right now because this is what we have to do. Is it like that for you too?
Yeah. You can find me putting trash bag liners. Like maybe like if shit hasn't like got together, like, all right, guys, like you can find, we're there on site since like 12 p.m. My brother gets there earlier. I'm the lazy one. I show up like at 2 or 1 sometimes, but it just depends. And like we have radios now, like we like talk to each other. But yeah, you can find me putting up signs and like, like figuring out like the eye situation, or like carrying like a thing, like a sign from back and forward, like definitely. Yes. My brother, like he has like a special way. Everyone makes fun of his walk that day. The place is like a football field size. So like to go from one place to the next, now we have golf carts that we have to rent, because the first day that we did.
That's massive.
The first day that we activated there, we had no idea. Like someone went to get a skateboard, and I was like, we'll just get a skateboard and just like try to like move as fast as possible. Because we couldn't like fathom like how we're going to like, we're activating like now, like essentially like 2 stages, a food court, the mechanical bull, and 20 bars once a month.
So you're still doing this at the Beehive?
At the Beehive.
You build it, you break it down, and then you start again. Right?
Yes. Yeah, we're committed to the Beehive for the next year for sure, because there's room to grow there too.
So we were joking a little bit earlier, maybe even before we're recording, about whether you or I is actually busy or more in the weeds. It's obviously me. I'm very impressed by everything that you're doing. But tell me just like what your next month looks like, because obviously, like for all I know, you could be doing stuff in Vegas. You've traveled.
I am going to do stuff in Vegas in the next month.
Okay, so tell me what's going on for F1 then.
Oh, I'm going to Vegas for F1. That's next month's November.
Yeah.
Right now I think like fall is just like a marathon from like October.
But you're one of the featured MGM Resort chefs during F1?
Yes. So wild. I'm doing it with my partner. We're doing the F1 Bellagio Fountain Club.
Right.
Friday.
Which is one of the most exclusive places to watch the race. It's literally the Fountain Club, the Tau Group Marquee Skydeck, and people are paying literally like 1,000 times the ticket price of one of our typical events to go there. And she's one of the featured chefs.
That's amazing.
And just so you know that, the caliber of, who we're talking to, it's like the people that they had in the past, like last year was the first F1. And I think the chefs were Mario Carbone, David Chang, Jose Andres, possibly.
Yeah, he was.
These are the chefs.
Congratulations, that's awesome.
And now you get to do Oaxacan food. So tell me what you're going to cook at the Fountain Club.
So this is a collaboration between me and my partner. My Italian boyfriend, he's a Michelin star chef who cooks Oaxacan food. So it's really fun.
I'm doing it.
I'm doing it with my partner JJ Steele, who owns a restaurant called Claro in Gowanus, Brooklyn. Michelin star chef restaurant. I think he was like one of the first or like Michelin star chefs who got in Mexican food. And he's very, very talented. So we're doing it together. We did the menu together. We are doing like a steak tartare with caviar, but we're doing it with a chicatana sauce. Which chicatanas are like these like Oaxacan flying ants, and probably putting some crispy chapulines on there. Whoa. Then we're doing a mole.
Right, so those are crickets. Just so you know.
So then now we're also doing a mole with a turkey roulade. We laugh about that. And we're going to do it with a little bit like purslane and some cherries. But it's going to be
During
our mole.
F1. This is so cool.
Yeah, so we're doing our mole. We call it our love mole because we do like half of mine and half of his recipe. And then
That's
we combined
cool.
it and
That's
it's delicious. And then the third dish, we're doing a cocktail de camarón. And TBD on like what kind of fish we're going to be using for that. Just we're waiting on like purveyors and see what's available. But we're doing a really incredible cocktail de camarón, which I think it's like the best.
Do you know what night you're doing it? Thursday,
Friday.
Friday?
I'm doing Friday night.
Okay. You can come to our food festival that we're doing at Resorts World like Friday come Saturday during the day because Friday you're going to be working, obviously.
Yeah, I'm going to be working Friday, but Saturday.
But it's just wild that so many of our friends just get to go do this because like
It's so fun.
Last year at the Fountain Club, it's like Roy Choi's just walking around and it's just like these are our chefs. And I mean, I know that you're friendly with Dave Chang too. We were both at
Yes,
the
love
Momofuku
Dave.
anniversary party. Which was a really, really great time. But it's just wild because he's one of the ones who's always just like, oh, those things are a shit show. Why would you ever go? But then we all end up going because it's like, this is the thing that you get to do, and it's still the grind.
This is the fun thing.
But it's still the grind, but this is the glamour part of the grind, so you got to take it when you
It's
can.
fun grind. I mean, I don't listen. They're gonna put me up in Vegas, and all I gotta do is make steak tartare and costel de camarón, and I get to be at the F1. Yes, 100%. Count me in. Like, where do I sign up for this? Because like it's fun for me. It's like we're playing. Like I love cooking. I love like doing this. Like this is so fun for me. This is not even work. Like for me to like cook and just create something and give people experience and just like really able to represent my culture and just like for them to like blow their minds of like what is this bite I'm having and like something familiar but not and different and like really change the perception of Mexican food. And it's very different food that I would do at Guelaguetza, right? Like we're doing a Michelada bar too. We're going to feature our Micheladas. I think it's cool and I think it just talks about like where Mexican American culture sits today and like just the evolution of where we've been and what we're doing today.
And what you've taken.
Well, you're at the forefront of it evolving.
And what you've taken mainstream, right? Because I remember you were telling me that you were building a house for your family and there's going to be mezcal bar in there. You told me that years ago, and obviously I know you finished the house. I've seen pictures of the mezcal bar. So this is literally just how the family lives. They live in a house with a bar full of mezcal.
A secret bar.
So how do you take that, how do you like sort of like reconcile a moment like that with getting a call from somebody like Sean Christie in Las Vegas and saying, hey, you know what? We want to open a bar at a casino in the middle of Las Vegas, showcasing this spirit that you've put into the forefront. I mean, I know that's an incredibly proud moment, but like at what point does it really hit you that like, okay, we changed something?
That was a very special time. So I just consult for the bar. It's not like technically my bar. But
no, I know.
I know that it's part of like, but Mama Rabbit is like,
was your bar.
Of course. And it's like, it was one of like the most funnest, most incredible experiences and like projects I worked with. And I think the opening night and the whole weekend was just so dear to me because I was able to, I mean, I could cry, but having my parents there, because I remember when you're a little Mexican girl, right, from Oaxaca, and like going to Vegas is like the epitome of like Vegas, like ooh, right?
Yeah.
And my parents would take us to Vegas on vacation, like since I was 14 years old, like Christmas, and we'd go to Vegas. Why you would take, a 16-year-old, a 13? No, I wasn't 13. I was 15. My sister was 18, 15, 12, and like a 6-year-old to Vegas. As a family trip.
Your baby sister went too.
Like, your father loved to gamble. That's why you guys went.
But parents don't even gamble. Like, that's the funny part. Like, we'd go to shows. We'd pretend we were in New York. We'd pretend we'd be in Paris. You know? Like,
that's so cool.
Like, we pretended we were like the Caesar's Palace, the Venetian. I mean, you were able to travel the world. We're like just immigrants.
Right. You're immigrants, but you're also LA kids because that's what LA kids do.
Yeah. I remember my dad saying, like, one day we could have a restaurant here. And, like, I remember like actually believing it, like with my dad telling me like, you could. And I remember walking and I was like, this is a possible. And like, I remember like internalizing that dream, I guess. So like we kind of manifested and like seeing my family and then Jose Andres hosted us at his restaurant and like gave us like a beautiful like private room and like fed us the most. That's when I felt.
This is how
like
MGM Resorts was like courting them. You understand?
And then like being able to have like the incredible gin and tonics, and like for them to come and my dad to like have food, and like all of us, and at the end it's like, no, this is all for you and your family. I was like, to be able to gift that to them was the best part of that entire experience.
Right. And then so Park MGM opens, and there's this other thing, right? Like, and I'm just going to say this very explicitly because this is the part that's kind of remarkable, right? They open, and all the showcase venues there, with the exception of the Nomad, which then had some issues, right, were prominent LA operators.
Yeah.
And they're prominent LA operators that did not look like the typical operators in Vegas, because here's this Oaxacan family, here's Roy Choi, and here's the Houston brothers, right? And then, but this is the hot casino moment. And so to me, I mean, this is what you're sort of doing now. Tell me about how much you think LA just drives culture in general, because obviously you're doing it again with these parties now. Well, Mexican culture, I know, drives culture. We've been talking about this for a while. But LA culture specifically, what does that mean for America?
I mean, I'm like a Mexican girl living in LA, so I think like Mexican culture drives LA culture. Like,
right, sure.
And yes, I think immigrant culture drives LA culture. I mean, I think you go to a Dodgers game, like it's the Los Dodgers, like it's just like it's us, it's our people. Like yes, there's a large like, you know, Korean American here. There's like different type. There's Thai American. There's so many different immigrant cultures. But when you look at like the Mexican culture and like how we've been, and like we are kind of driving, then I guess you would say like quote unquote mainstream, right? Like we're driving that. Are you seeing like how it changes in music? How like when you look at like the Billboard 100, like who are the artists? When you look at the Grammys and like to see like big bands like Fuerza Regida playing in Jimmy Fallon, you're like, what the hell? Like that could have never. You see Peso Pluma like breaking like just crazy records.
So that's the culture that like you associate with, and you see it changing everything.
Yeah, and like when you think about LA, like when you think of LA, what does an LA girl look like? To me, it's like a Latina with like hoops. Right. Like, you know, that's what I think of an LA girl. Very different. That's what I think when I think of an LA girl. It can be many things, right? And I when you look at like all the fashion brands coming out of LA, when you look at fashion brands like Bella Doña, when you look at fashion brands like Paisa Boys, when you look at fashion brands like, when you look at even like my girlfriend who's so LA, Julissa, who owns Rizos Curls, who's just killing it in like the curly hair, like I mean, this multi-million brand, like
how do you know that? You're shaking your head like, like how do you know that, Andy? I'm just curious.
But like Viva La Bonita, like Dom all these incredible brands.
We've already gotten into the fact that Dom doesn't really look at
He's
the
into
internet.
curly hair.
He doesn't look at TikTok. He doesn't follow any trends at all.
But you don't have to, Don. That's fine. Right, you know what? Neither do I. Neither do I.
But I legitimately know and appreciate the things that she's talking about, because like, this is the culture.
Yeah, it's like the LA culture is so beautiful, and it is now becoming this like, I think Mexican Americans for a long time almost felt ashamed of their culture and like felt like unwelcomed in a way. At least that's been my experience. And I think now it's just so like turned to a way where they're like completely proud and just like want to be loud and want to like just listen to banda music and wear their boots and wear their hats and like own that like banda, like this is who we are. Like you're not going to tell us who we need to be American. We are American. And it's so beautiful and empowering to see.
Right, because the way that you became American is that you just sort of did things that obviously like people who are already here didn't have to do. And you sort of hide and then you're ashamed. And then what happens, as you always know, is then the next generation grows up, and even though their families don't really want them to be in the restaurant business or in the apparel business or whatever, they're like, no, we want to do this and we want to remake it because we're proud of it now.
Yeah. And you know, it's so funny because I go to New York a lot. And every time I walk on the street, every time I go, my favorite thing to ask people is like, where do you think I'm from? And they're like, I don't know, you're giving LA vibes. I'm like, yeah. Like, I just like, I think it's just like, just, I don't know.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, well, let's talk a little bit about your family story, because that is sort of like what makes you one of the most LA families ever, because we talked about you show up from Oaxaca, you have a backpack full of ingredients, you go straight to your restaurant. But before that, your dad came here with nothing, and he was essentially selling food on the streets, being kind of quasi-protected by gangsters, if I remember, you telling us.
Yes.
And people really liked it, and then somehow you opened a restaurant. So tell me what you remember about that or what you were told about it, because I know that was 30 years ago now. So.
Oh my goodness, what I remember about it. I mean, I remember being enamored with like just going to McDonald's, dude, and having like a breakfast McMuffin, like changed my life. You didn't have that in Oaxaca,
Right.
like French toast.
Did your
Right.
family cook it all in Mexico? Or
Oh, of
this
course.
is-
My mom's like the best.
No,
cook.
like home cook, yeah. But like, did they do it as like a business there?
Oh,
or
no.
You
No,
just
my
kind
dad
of-
was in the mezcal business when we were in Oaxaca.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like coming here and then learning other types of food. I mean, Yoshinoya. When my brother and I talk about Yoshinoya, he would he would his mouth will water. And like that's where I learned how to like eat chopsticks and soy sauce and rice and this. We love Yoshinoya.
Right. So your formative experiences were the things that people just sort of like.
I mean,
Take for granted.
this
Yeah.
is the first time I had burritos when I came to LA.
Right.
Cholitas off of Western, I think. Is that what it's called? That was El Taurinos. I never had tacos like that before either. So LA taco is very different. I mean, I fucked with Taco Bell when I moved here too because it was delicious. To me,
Yeah.
I've never had ground beef on a crispy tortilla before. And yes, I'm Mexican. But it was
Right. So
delicious
that
to
was
me.
your LA experience.
Oh,
That's how you
Tito's
became.
tacos? My goodness. I remember the first time I had it and it was like greasy and crispy and cheesy and that tortilla and then, yeah.
So obviously you've experienced all these other things. Why have you always decided, to keep your restaurant like, so resolutely doing the type of food that you do? Why haven't you tried to open a different restaurant that weaves in these other things you love?
I still think that we will open a restaurant or a concept maybe in the next 5 years or so. I think that after we were so close to signing a lease, a week away from signing a lease on the second, and finally us deciding, okay, this is what we're going to do. This is the concept we're doing next. It was laid out. We had the plans. We had the budgets. We had it all. And then, I don't know, we just kind of had a conversation, like my siblings and I, and we said, is this what we actually want to do? Because you know how it's so heavy investment to open a new restaurant, right? You have to invest a lot of money. And it takes a long time to get that money back. And day-to-day grind and the cash flow and everything, right? I can imagine just the build out of a place for it to look good, right?
Yeah.
So then we looked at the budgets and and we said, so this is what it's going to take. Where else can we invest this amount of money? And are we going to have more fun doing it? And are we going to put more effort into it? Like, where are we today? And let's not think about like we have to open a new restaurant because we have to stay on these lists because these lists are only about restaurants that are, a year, 2, 3 years old. And, like, are we chasing just like this or do we want to do this? And then I think we just took and we said, I think we're having so much more, like, why don't we just build our Michelada brand and see where that takes us? And then put this on hold and continue the restaurant and like think about opening another restaurant in next year, in 2 years, and take a 2-year time to think. And then it was and that was a week before March 2020. And when that happened, we just said, oh, thank God. Like that would have been.
Right. Like all of a sudden it's a terrible moment, but the weight's gone.
Oh
right?
my God. We just thought, thank God we skipped that and because, the era we were going to open it was very much up and coming and it was going to be great and we were going to be a driving factor to it. But I think after 2020, really all those quote unquote up and coming neighborhoods, they haven't. And a lot of them have just never even came back.
Yeah, and it's harder than ever now, as we know.
It's so hard. Look at downtown LA. Look at how many restaurants have closed. Every time someone opens a new restaurant, I just think, why?
Yeah. It's hard. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Yet, yes, I would open one next week. Like, I would definitely do it, Like, it's definitely in me, and all the projects we have are surrounding food, obviously, but I'd love to do another. There's so many concepts that live in my head and ideas, but I think I've also learned how to try to focus on one thing.
Well, what would you?
This is like
But
me
it's hard
focusing on one
because,
thing right now.
like, is this going to be beneficial or is this a distraction, right? Like,
Right.
and it's hard because you get so excited because you're an entrepreneur and you want to go after something and go do it, even if it's impossible. But then you're like, all right, well,
Right, and
am I
then-
being distracted by this,
And
or
you want
is
to
this
do
like
it
going to help my
differently
business?
because if you just copy yourself, you're bored. So Dom's going to go open another outpost of the cheese store, but it's going to focus on pizza. They don't do pizza here, and it's like you have this formula. You make so much money doing this, but so I know that like if you open another restaurant, it's not going to be the same thing.
No,
So
it's not.
What would be the most likely thing you would do, or can you not even say that given that you have so many ideas?
I mean, we've had so many ideas. There's so many ideas.
Right.
There's so many. What the actual one we're going to land on? I mean, we've talked about doing so many things. But right now, like me focusing on one thing, which, it's difficult for me, but even just like this is focusing on one thing is doing the Micheladas brand and growing that. I mean, when we got our Costco deal was a huge win for us.
wow.
Now we're in every single BevMo. We're going to launch in like Total Wine at the end of this year.
Yeah, I mean that's amazing. Would you take have you thought about taking the events on tour? I mean, I know it would be a whole different thing.
I mean,
but
yes, I think once we expand the brand to other states and taking it slow by slow, just
That'd be so
slow.
cool.
It's honestly a slow growth. And I think when you come from a background of business, you want to move 1,000,000 miles an hour and you want to, what's next? What's this? Let's do more. And I saw, that was the downfall of my father, and I saw it. And I think it really is about when you have the right people in place, you can grow with people. But you have to be in a position where your business is actually cash flowing so you could pay those people.
of course.
And then have someone take over your time, right? So it's just a slow build. But of course, I'd love to do one if we launch in Texas, like do one in Texas, or when we launch in.
Well, yeah, to bring LA there, to maybe you could bring it to a big city, you could bring it to a sleepier town. So I don't know if I've told you this story before, Dom, but I have some friends in hospitality, and a lot of times people always sit around or are just like, why do we want to do this? What would we do if we found an exit? And then some people got to the point where they potentially could have an exit, and they started talking about what they would do next, right? And it came back to the fact that they would just do a crazier version of what they did because somebody's like, I'm going to go buy a private island. I'm going to go do this. And then somebody said no. And this was the idea that all these crazy people agreed on. What they decided the best thing to do if they cashed out was, we're just going to buy a bus and we're going to drive around the country and we're going to go to like some of the sleepier college towns, or we're going to go to some smaller cities that don't have what we have. And we're just going to throw the craziest party that the town has ever seen. And then we're just going to leave. And there was something so romantic about that idea where it's just like, I actually believe that if you cashed out, you would do this. But I think the mentality is like, you could take this brand. I mean, you could take your brand anywhere, right? And just show people
so.
and show
For
people
sure.
these things that they haven't seen before. And I think that when people are partying, the thing that they want the most is something novel because you know what the formula for the Vegas nightclub parties is and all this, right? And I think it's sort of the kind of thing that, we do with our parties. My parties can't scale the way the Bricias can. There's no way. But I think people just react to something that is comfortable, is celebratory, but also like, oh, this isn't like the other one. And I can see just in the videos of your parties that this isn't like the other one. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I think we're just all a bunch of pirates, just swimming around, cruising along, trying to see, that's who we are in the industry.
Yeah. So what are you going to do for your 30 year?
Oh my goodness, this is another one. We had to move it. Or is
When
this the second
exactly
time?
is it?
It's going to be December.
Oh, so it's like it's
something.
here.
It's happening.
Yeah, it's happening.
Wow.
It's happening.
Wow. Yeah.
We were supposed to do it in November, and then we decided to push it yet again. And we can't push it past December, so now that date is set. So now we're working on all the design, all the assets, what it's going to look like, what kind of event we want to have, and that's going to be just a big, everyone is welcome. Come. It's going to be a big party.
your
That is an
chance.
invitation.
Go to the edge of Koreatown, which is like
I will
20
be there.
minutes away from
you will
here.
definitely
be
be
there.
invited. It'll be, and I think because we're doing so much, we often forget like how special it is to then go back to the source of it all, the restaurant Guelaguetza, and then just celebrate ourselves for what
so
we've
cool.
done.
love
30 years, and having my parents there. My parents are here right now because my youngest sister had a baby.
Congrats.
it's great just doing things with my family.
That's awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
So has your family seen everything? Have they been to the parties? Have they been to Smorgasburg? Have they done all
Oh,
of it?
of course. You mean my mom and my dad?
Yeah.
Yeah, they love it.
Yeah.
I remember when my dad just gets very nervous and like stresses out because he's not in control. And when he went to the...
Oh, he can't turn it off either. Huh?
No, he cannot turn it off. So when he goes to one of our parties, he's just looking for things that are going wrong and just can't seem to enjoy himself.
Like, he has to be so proud and impressed with what you guys have scaled on a dream that he had that he probably can't even imagine that it turned out.
Yeah, but
it's still growing.
It's an immigrant parent, extremely proud, extremely judgmental at the same time. That's what it is.
That's how they show their love, you know, by judging you. Because if they're not judging you, do they even love you?
Well, at least in Mexican culture, they actually tell you that they love you, whereas in Asian culture, they don't say I love you.
Not many. No.
Slightly more.
They make fun of you. You're like, if I'm making fun of you, it's because I love you. Otherwise, is it even love?
Right.
Is it even love if I'm not hurting you?
Yeah, you're right. Like, I love you. Like, it comes with a little twist of the knife.
Fuck you, but you know I love you, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm only doing this because I love you.
Yeah. So it is beautiful to see, and yes, my parents both are very, very proud, and now they're vocal about it. And it's sort of also like a mind thing because all my life you told me I don't work enough and I'm lazy, and now you're telling me that I work too much and I should calm down. Makes no sense, you know?
Right.
But all our life was we couldn't get sick. If we were sick, we got sick because we were lazy. And we needed to go to work. And my dad's answer was, you just need to get up and go to work. And then you'll feel better. So we would be at work just feeling like crap. We just couldn't.
Right, as a child, right?
As a 14-year-old, 13-year-old, 12-year-old, we didn't really have a childhood. You know, we were just, we would be working.
Right.
Yeah, all right. Well, you're partying now.
Doing all the partying that I didn't do before. But also I have PTSD from weekend work because I didn't really have any weekends. Yeah,
you know, we're throwing a big, industry only is throwing a big party, but we're throwing it in January and we're getting all these different sponsors and all the sponsors love the idea. And the idea is the most basic one and it's not an original one in any way. We're throwing a holiday party for people who don't fucking get to go to holiday parties.
That's the best idea.
Because
no one does you can't
who does?
possibly go to a holiday party in December if you're in the food business.
Yeah, so it's just
because you're working.
That's
your Super Bowl.
So it's
that's where you're
be
making
January. We're gonna give each other gifts. There's gonna be white elephant stuff. There's gonna be sponsors that are giving gifts and all that. But it's like that's the thing that you kind of need to because when you spend all your life being in the weeds, you just maybe every once in a while need a break, and you need it to be at a party that's not your party. Unfortunately, this will be my party, and as you know, like I was at my party Monday, and people asked how it went, and I'm like, we totally crushed. All the sponsors are happy. The chefs were happy. I only heard good things. I probably hated about 80% of it, but we did it, and it was great, right?
That's what happens.
But that's how you feel every time, right?
Every time. We always do post-event surveys for both our vendors and our attendees to see how we can get better. We have a weekly production meeting, and we have the recap meeting. Every meeting is like at least 2 hours where we just go all in on how to make the experience better.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, and Dom, I know that you know that too. You're doing events all the time, so.
Yeah, but not for 4,000 people. That's insane. That's insane. That's like another level of like execution.
It's the same production, right? And it's just people. Mm-hmm. And I remember talking to my brother and said, I don't want to do any projects that require more than 5 human beings. I just don't. I just generally don't. And here we are now with, but our full-time team is 4 to 5, right? The rest, their other 60 are just one day. But also 60 things that could go wrong at any given second of the entire night.
Sure.
Right.
A lot of people.
Right. So you don't need more people to show up, but obviously this is on social media. So
I want everybody to show up.
No, but I'm saying you don't need more, but share whatever.
I do need everyone.
What social media should people be looking at to go see all the videos and everything?
Well, just our social media is I Love Micheladas. You can find all the information on our monthly Michelada music festival there. Every first Friday of the month, and just me, Bricia Lopez. I think once you go there, and La Guelaguetza. I love mole.com. I love micheladas.com.
I love mole.com. It's one of the best. Oh, and Dom hasn't ever had a Toyota. He loves mole, though.
But you can have the one like Tlayuda too.
Sure.
You have
After
to come.
all that you just described, I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I really am. It's going to be amazing.
I can't wait to have you.
I literally had to have you drive from Montecito Heights to get him to drive.
No,
to
I moved. I'm not in Montecito Heights anymore. I'm actually all the way to Sierra Madre now.
Oh,
I'm in the burbs.
Okay, so that's way.
Oh, Sierra Madre, I actually know where that is. My daughter plays soccer, so we played soccer.
Oh, okay.
She goes to Notre Dame in the Valley, so we played at the Sierra Madre high school there.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's far.
That's a great neighborhood, though.
Yeah,
I mean, I
beautiful.
have 2 children.
Of course, it's beautiful.
My kids are 4 and 9. Like,
Right.
I need to be somewhere where they feel safe and we can bike ride in the street.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah. This beautiful, idyllic LA existence where then you're driving an hour to get anywhere.
Now I live that existence. I
Wow.
didn't before, but now, dang.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you need your solitude because you're around people the rest of the time. So
I will say though, when you say like the cash out, like one thing I want when things go really well, the one thing I'm going to invest in is a full-time driver. That's when you really like in LA. Like what a flex! Dude, I just have someone to drive you around.
Just drive me around and wait for me to come in and come out.
Yeah, like imagine if I had a driver for me waiting right here and just open my door.
I would put you in the red zone too. I'll put cars all around the car.
That's the nice thing about getting to go to places like Vegas or doing festivals. You get to live that fantasy sometimes for a day, and you're like, oh yeah, this is cool as hell.
But this is awesome, and I don't even care what kind of car I have. Like I just want the driver to wait for me outside and to look a certain way. And I'm gonna probably
put the
have
cones out. We'll do the whole thing.
Yeah, but I want to dress like full on like narco, like just feel like narco, like a Mexican drug dealer, just like with the chains and the satin shirt and the boots.
Driving a Kia,
Yeah.
taking you around.
With a hat and
the driver has to be decked out with a tie and a hat on top.
No,
like
not a tie and a hat. I just told you how he's gonna be decked out.
Oh, he's gonna be decked out. I thought you were gonna be decked out like that.
He's gonna dress like that,
nice.
like a full on, just like so.
Got it. Wow.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
That's when I'm manifesting.
Like
for the
season
next
3.
couple years. Season 3. Yeah.
All right. Hashtag goals. All right. Take this thing on tour. We're gonna figure out how to get you a driver that actually drives you. Oh no! We're gonna get that bus, and we're gonna have that bus. You're gonna go live that fantasy instead. All right. Well, I mean, I look forward. I mean, congratulations on everything.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. What a great story.
Thank you for having me.
You should be proud of everything you're doing. It's so special.
I'm so thankful. And I've seen how your own events have grown, and it was so small, and your idea, and it's beautiful to see. I love to see people win. I love this cheese store is incredible. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
And it's to create. There's nothing better than to create. There's nothing better than doing that.
All right. Well, Dom made you some sandwiches. You said you were craving.
Hell yes, I'm craving
bread,
sandwiches.
Let's go.
Meats and cheese.
Mm-hmm.
We got
please
it.
enjoy that. Thank you for taking time. Like
Thank you very
crazy
much.
busy schedule.
Thank you.
And what else, Dom?
That's it. No, it's a wrap, I think.
That's a wrap. Follow me on the socials. See you on the Instagram.
All right. Thanks, Bricia.
Thank you.